Hello, everyone. This is Will, aka Dr. Financial Literacy. Hope you're doing well. One of the things that I'm gonna look at again is last time I was maybe scammed out of ten to $15,000 in credit card debt. I don't know where it went. Somebody got me for it, but it was scammed away for me. So what I'm gonna do now is I got a $50,500 HELOC. I mean, I'm going to really track this HELOC, home equity line of credit, to see how they scam this debt away from me. I was pissed off. I tried tracking the 10 to 15 for my first 3 months. It just went away, and I'm still trying to look for it. But this time, starting June the 1st, is my first payment on a $50,000 HELOC debt. Now I'm gonna follow this because I'm not gonna get scammed. Let me calm down again, but I'm not gonna get scammed out of $50,500 worth of debt. So let me just give you where I'm at in general, and then as I go along, if you like to follow how they scam me out of this, because I don't want my clients to get scammed. I don't want to get scammed again out of debt. So I'm going to try to follow the money. I'm going to try to follow the money and follow the math. It should be a lot easier with the home equity line of credit than how I reduced or how the debt disappeared away from me under the multiple credit cards I was using. This is centralized. It's going to be all in one place. I'm going to try to run everything, or I should be able to run everything through this HELOC so I can really keep track of them scamming me out of this debt. All right, so the income that I'm going to have for this experiment, and many of you know I've run a number of experiments with velocity banking and accelerated banking in general. So with this experiment, I'm starting off with $50,500 in the real world. My income from my employer, $3,390 for the month. And I don't think I'm getting an increase because there may be some budget cuts. My expenses for the month, since I started velocity banking, accelerated banking prior to give a phone over. I'm sorry, come over a little more. Prior to was about $3,300. That left me a cash flow of $390 after all my bills were paid, which included my rent, my food, my clothing, eating out, gas, car repairs, phone bills, all those other expenses. I was left with $390 a month. And if you go back and look at some of the previous videos, you'll see where I've used that in general. So starting this experiment off with $50,500, that is the line of credit. That is the limit. So I'm using 100% of the limit. The company that I went with required a $50,000 minimum draw. So I had no other options with this company. Now, again, I tried before, was unsuccessful, but I was successful and I was blessed, I believe, with this particular HELOC. So I'm running with it. So it has a 10.25% rate of interest. It is variable. So it can go up as high as 18% at $700 a month, or as low as 4% at I think $160 a month. The rent on my apartment here that I paid $1,276. That's just the rent that I'm paying, and that's eating up approximately 37% of my income, and they said you should be below 30%. So the HELOC, and this is now I'm describing the overall HELOC itself, is $50,500. Once I went back through the papers, and this is the settlement papers from the HELOC, and that was probably, I think, maybe 152 pages. My signature 40 sometimes, initial about 20 sometimes. I'm still going back through these documents and reading again and updating you as I go through. So from the 50,500, $46,929 of debt was wiped out from my 350 some thousand dollars in debt. Of that HELOC, $2,361 was a part of closing costs. And I'm not going to make it too long, but there are some more details in general. The cash that I got at closing, after all the dust is settled, closing costs, $1,210 for a total HELOC of $50,500. I'll be starting this in June. My first payment will be $424 in June the 1st. Okay, so now in just running down some of the example in doing velocity and or accelerated banking, 3,390 is my income that I will put the entire thing into the HELOC. Now I'm comfortable with this because in my previous videos, I started with a couple of bills in January. Then in February, I threw a couple of more in, and I'm like, it's disappearing. Then in March, I just went for it all and started paying also this rent using another system, but using a credit card. And that's some previous videos. Okay. So now from the 3,390 income that I will put inside the HELOC, that will bring me down to $47,110. Now I got to put back in my expenses. Initially, it was $3,000 in expenses per month, but because I'm putting in my entire paycheck, I'm doing away with the $424 that would have been a part of my expenses. So with that taken out, my expenses are $2,576. I'm gonna subtract, I'm gonna add. This should have been subtract. You subtract, the income from the putting it in. So I'm adding back expenses, 2,576, with a difference of 424 for the cost of the HELOC. That would bring me down to $49,676. Now I'm adding back the interest of the HELOC back into the equation, and I'm getting that on top from the 50,000. Okay, so the interest that I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go ahead and pay is being calculated at the initial HELOC at 10%, because that's what they started me at. So 50,500 times 10.25%, that'll be 0.1025, equals $5,176.25. I will now divide that by 12 to get a monthly interest rate, and that equals $431.35 in interest. So I just put 431 here. That would take me back up to a balance of $50,170. Okay, so just to recap, the HELOC at the limit, the entire HELOC, so I don't have anything else, is a $50,000 HELOC, 100% is being used. I put my income in June, 333.90, it comes down. I got to put my expenses back in, which would be kind of minus the 424. Well, I'm sorry, they charge 424. That's what my first payment is. I have 431. Okay, that was a little mathematical misnomer. Maybe I should go ahead and correct that now. Let me go ahead and correct that now. So my first monthly payment, they already have me down for $424 as the payment. So I'm gonna correct this. Okay. So I'm going to correct that now. 49,676 minus 424. That's the amount of interest that is on my paperwork right now. That'll be 49,252. 49. And again, another mistake. I should be adding that. 49,676 plus 424 equals 50,100. Okay, 50,100. So I corrected that to go by what the bank will be charging me versus I initially just hit the 10% times the 50 in general. So in looking at here now, if I just pay the interest rate on the HELOC, because it's only interest only for the first 3 years, then my first payment will come down to $50,076. However, if I decide to make an extra payment amount, which I have done previously on my mortgages, and make it an extra 524 on top of what they asked me in interest, then the payment will come down to $49,976. Here, just walking through the procedures, and I ended up with 50,100. You can see just doing this way, I'm just above the payment. So just in general, this time I'm gonna try to run the same experiment, look at the numbers, try to really pay attention to this 50,500. I will have it in one account. All the expenses will be ran through that one account so that I don't have multiple credit cards. My income in California after taxes, after insurance, after pension, 3,390 in California, where they say it's pretty expensive. I'm throwing in my HELOC, my expenses, extra payments, I've went over how much it costs to get this HELOC, how much cash I received back at closing in general, and also that I'm at 100% of the HELOC. So there's no extra, there's no room. This is not a $60,000 HELOC, a $100,000 HELOC. The HELOC was set at $50,500. That is the limit, and that's what I accepted in general to move forward. I could continue to try to do some research and find others, but my debt to income ratio and some other obligations, I'll probably look at this particular one, but as I go along, I may increase it because I still have additional opportunities available once I get some of this together. So yeah, I'm gonna look at the scamology this time again. I will definitely track to see how I get scammed, if possible, like the credit card, out of $50,500 in debt. And I'm gonna try to let y'all know who was or were the scammers that took my debt away from me as a result of me putting in my check and running my expenses through the HELOC. Because I'm gonna catch them and I'm gonna find them. And if you're out there, the doc is coming for you. Believe it.